brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Oh, yes, it is definitely sippin' time here on Sips, Suds, and Smokes. Welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. We are the best thing on at 2 a.m., and we thank you for choosing to listen to us instead of the following choice: The Secret Life of Welsh Food, with a fabulous discussion of milk bars in the 1960s. Now, how or why this is a secret or entertaining is a complete mystery to me. But then again, our own program is just about as crazy as well. So anyway, if you get bored of this, check out the Welsh Food on the BBC. I'm good old boy Mike, and joining me here is good old Gal Cary Ann.
Good afternoon. I think it is 2020. Hard to know.
Is that a question mark? Maybe she's not really quite sure. Go Boy Sparky is joining us.
Today I found out that sunlight burns my flesh.
Okay. Is what on the Welsh food program?
I think so.
They are pasty.
They are pasty lots.
Yeah, that's true. I was about to say. There's
Are we
going to
get banned in Wales now? Is that
absolutely. That is our goal
Banned
always.
once again.
Yes, of course. New to the program is good old boy Craig.
Hello there.
Our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee. On this episode, we're going to be visiting some gin. Now, we've done some dozen gin that we've tasted in a double blind tasting today, meaning that we didn't know what we were tasting at all. And then we selected our top 5 plus our bottom choice for discussion today.
I'm double blind.
Yeah, Craig's going to tell us what we've gone through and berated our palates with.
Yes, we berated our palates for sure. It is early in the day, or actually 2 a.m. What am I saying? First one we have was St. Laurent from Quebec. We had the Gray Whale from California, Nikka Coffee Grain from Japan, Junipero from California, number 3 from Holland and London, Castle and Key from Kentucky, Freeland from Oregon, Tod Vixen from I have no idea where, Mahon from Spain, McQueen and the Velvet Fog from I have no idea where, Kenobi... Brazil, right, okay. The bastion of good gin, Brazil. Kenobi from Japan, Bulrush from South Carolina, which again, gin famous right there. And then Freeland Dry. So there's 2 Freelands, one Navy Strength London Dry and one New World gin.
Well, that is a real strong flight that we've gone through. Now, again, we're not going through all of those gins today. We've selected our top 5 out of those 13 different gins, and we're going to go through our top 5. Plus, we're going to talk about our bottom choice here as well. Sparky gets the honors of going over our SIPS ratings for today. Now, do you think you can actually pull off a Welsh accent in search of a milk bar?
Well, I was going to say I haven't been to a milk bar in a minute, not intentionally at least, but I'll do my damnedest.
I don't know what you said. It was utterly ridiculous.
I did.
Yes,
I did. I'm
don't
sorry.
miss that pun.
That's
I
why
don't know. It's a good pun.
I mean, to be fair, since we've never been to a milk bar, maybe there is something to it.
I just think of a Clockwork Orange. I mean, to me, that's instantly summons when you say a milk bar, but...
I think someone has an Oedipus complex.
Edible complex, maybe. Yeah, I'll give it a try, Mike. I'll do my best. We'll be tasting and discussing these gins and rating them with these SIPS ratings plus our signature sounds. Here are those ratings now. Number 1. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
Ooh, that's not too bad. That's offensive, but not horribly offensive.
2. Nice, but what else have you got?
Well, isn't that nice?
3. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
All I can think of is,
Irish.
wonderful, Dennis. There's some lovely fizz down here. 4. Let's keep this secret to ourselves, won't we, another?
That's classified.
5. Oh my, I was unaware anything could be this good.
Oh my goodness!
Yes! 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 Yes!
So,
Yeah.
like Mike mentioned, this episode is a blind tasting, and this is not even close to our first blind tasting of gin. Be sure to go back and check out our Gin 101 episode to learn all about gin production and our big gin taste-off. We conducted a blind tasting of over 500 gins, not in one day.
Never.
However,
Ever.
never again.
Never, ever.
Not going back to that.
Hashtag never again.
Never again.
So many of the gins we tasted for this episode were released after we did the big gin episode, or they weren't widely distributed yet. So we decided to go back and do it again, but not really again. So there were some really interesting flavor profiles trending. We had a couple of gins today, the Gray Whale and St. Laurent, that were under the influence of the ocean. So some seaweed and briny action going on with those. And
Very
if you're
different.
looking for something very different, I definitely suggest to try them. They didn't make our top 5, but they're really cool.
So Cary and we're actually sampling, both of these gins. We just talked about the Gray Whale and the St. Laurent. And, the Gray Whale was not my favorite thing, Neat.
It was not mine either, but I did go home and make a gimlet with it. And I thought that really brought out some of those flavors in a different way.
Yeah.
Mike was suggesting maybe trim that with a little salt on the rim. I did not try that, but...
Well, and I like what Craig said earlier is that, even though we've talked about the ranking of this flight, every gin can fit something, right?
Right. I think it's funny because you just said the Gray Whale, which I had never had before today. But to me, it had zero nose whatsoever. And it was very, very watery. I don't know what the proof is on that, but I think you're right on a gimlet because you're not getting much from it. It's not going to stand up. Certainly not going to stand up with citrus. So, you're going to have the flavors of everything else and it'll provide the backbone of the spirit, but it's not going to give you any flavor.
Yeah, there were definitely some things in each of those products that, I don't know that your palate is always acclimated, to recognize what does seaweed taste like, in gin. And, it's like, I'm not quite sure about
But we've
that.
all had whale and gin. I mean, that's just
Right.
We've been
Whale
there.
is delicious.
We've been there.
But the thing that I read within this flight was there was a wide variety of things going on. And that's what I really enjoyed about each of these particular products that we selected for this show. And I'm excited to talk about our top 5. So we're going to go through these from 5 to our top pick for the day. So you got to hang around to the end to find out, what was our favorite thing today. So our number 5 pick today was from Tod Vixen. And let me get to that information about that particular product, and I will tell you all about it. And we'll be looking up our tasting notes while we're doing this. So Tod Vixen, here's some information directly from them. How our products are consumed is as important as how they're made. So we recruited a team of revered cocktail professionals led by Gary Goss Regan, including Leo Rebeshek. I probably just screwed that up. Sorry about it. And Jeffrey Morgenthaler early on, and paired them with our British master distiller to help us develop a gin. The result is one lively mix of British sensibility and American mischief. What does that sound like, do you think, Jason? What would British sensibility even sound like in American mischief? That'd be like tossing whiskey down after a cup of ketchup on your fries, right?
I'm sorry. When it comes to American sensibility and gin, all I can think of is a bathtub.
I'm just thinking they're going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I think we have
Those things
introduced.
don't complement each other.
No, I think we introduced bathtubs to the gin making process. I think that's
also
all.
at this time in history, American and sensibilities, those words should never be together.
I agree.
That's true.
Whoever wrote this marketing stuff did not call us.
They didn't see
We were not in the room when it happened.
that's
All right.
true.
So, specifically designed to enhance the flavors of gin cocktails, our inaugural Tod Vixen's Dry Gin, 1651, is made by macerating botanicals, including juniper, angelica root, and rooibos tea, to extract their flavors, then non-shell filtering to retain their unearthed profile. The resulting sip is a bold on the entry, giving way to a well-balanced, vibrant gin and a weighty mouthfeel. As the esteemed Gaz Regan put it, this gin rocks. So what do you guys think about this gin?
I like this gin.
I liked it too, and it's really, I mean, to me, it tasted closer to a classic British dry gin. I don't know about the American mischief part, but I will say that the last time I hand macerated something too much, I almost went blind, and so I respect the level of care that they use.
Did you not use Sips Suds and Smoke personal lube for that? I'm really disappointed.
There's been so many shortages. There's shortages this year, Mike. I need some help there, buddy.
To me, this is a hotter Ford's gin. It's a more viscous. Mm-hmm. It's obviously meant for cocktails. To me, if you blinded this next to Ford's, I'd be surprised if we picked this over Ford's, because to me, it's essentially the same thing with more heat.
Hotter.
Here in my own tasting notes, I wrote it started sweet, had a juniper kind of in the middle, this big pepper finish, off the back. Yep. Was really something that was very notable about this. But yeah, I'm not so sure that I'd be a fan of this neat. This is definitely something I can see working in a lot of great cocktails. I
have 60 gins at my bar, and I don't drink gin neat. So
yeah. No, and I agreed with you, Mike. That sweet was the first thing that I wrote on it, and then astringent finish. So really,
it's 48%. So yeah,
Well, what's what you need in the Navy, right?
Yeah, right.
I think my strongest tasting note was fresh. I get a lot of really fresh.
And so clean,
bright, fresh and so clean. Yeah, but bright flavors. I think it was a really nice.
See that?
Well, our SIPS rating here for the Tod and Vixen 1651 is going to be a 3.
Interesting.
And I know this is lame, but like the label would be something my wife would go for instantaneously. It's got a cute label, I think.
Hey, we'll be right back in a moment. Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. On today's episode, it's a gin flight. All neat. We've gone through 13 gins, selected our top 5 as well as our bottom to talk about. We just finished talking about our number 5, which was Tod and Vixens. Again, we rated that a 3 out of 5.
Interesting.
Up next is going to be our number 4 out of this flight, which is from Bulrush. And Cary Ann's going to give us background on this one.
Yeah, Bulrush was a late entry into the flight, but it is from Piedmont, South Carolina. As Craig mentioned, hub of gin making in the U.S. So, Bulrush is a vernacular term for cattail. If everybody knows what a cattail is. Oh,
I see what they did.
So, Bulrush is made in a traditional pot still with 24 pounds of botanicals per batch. And developed to be enjoyed by gin drinkers and non-gin drinkers alike.
Seaweed's heavy.
I don't like to associate with non-gin drinkers. I'll just go ahead and say it right there. Don't trust them. Never have, never will.
No. Marsh grass is heavy as well, apparently. So
marsh grass. So this gin is juniper forward, I would say, and has a handful of nothing totally out of the ordinary. As far as the botanicals go, I think the lavender you can definitely pull through.
I agree.
I think it's a really nice little gin.
In fact, that's what I wrote in my. It's the botanical is definitely on the finish, and I actually wrote down something lavender or something sweet, that is very botanical forward on the back end of this.
This one is 44%, so 88 proof.
And that's a pretty obvious one, too. I would say that if there wasn't the salt, the floral qualities would bother me. And I think what this is pretty well balanced in that, something that bothers me about New World gins in general is overly floral without.
Yeah, I think they've got to try too hard. It's not balanced. It's kind of like, look what we found in the botanical closet. We're going to dump it all in and vapor fuse it.
It's like buying.
Oh, we have some products that were in this flight that literally had like 30 different botanicals.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Now we know where Bath and Body Works is sending all their
Right. They send them all to Monkey 47. Yeah.
We're closing our stores,
There
but
you
guess
go.
what?
I like that, Greg. That's pretty good because that's exactly what I think every time I have Monkey 47.
Monkey 47 is the worst gin on the planet.
It is. I don't understand why people like that so much because everybody's like, well, what's the most expensive gin you have? And I go, it's the most expensive, but it's definitely not the best.
Same reason that people buy Pappy.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. It's the same reason.
Banned in Kentucky.
Yeah, for sure. I'm feeling it.
Well, it was a good show.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to thank all of you guys. It's a good run.
It was nice for you being here, Craig. I appreciate that. You just stepped on, blew your left.
This will not be
ankle.
the first thing I say that pisses people off. Trust me.
Just you wait.
Well, some of my own tasting notes. In addition to that, kind of, botanical back end. I was kind of sweet up front. There was kind of a peppery thing, kind of in the middle of this that was going on. But I really thought that it was very well balanced. And, I was really surprised it didn't taste like, a Me Too, gin that was in this flight.
It doesn't taste abused?
No.
Harassed?
No, it didn't.
Guys.
Well, the one thing I found on a lot of the other gins, I wrote abrasive probably about 18 times a day. It felt like,
This is a gin that will work really well with a sweeter Amaro.
Ooh.
Cool, man.
Because
I agree. That is a great choice. I'm
Because-
sorry, Julianna's
but-
not here to vehemently agree with you.
I
so.
wouldn't, go, I'm not talking Fernet. I'm talking like the Chinars and the Milettis and the Ramazzotis, where you'd have enough of that salt to cut through it. I think a good viscous vermouth as well, but I wouldn't go with a light Dolan vermouth with this one if I'm doing cocktails. Just my opinion.
Yeah. So really great in this flight. Any other tasting comments about this before we rate this and move on?
I'm looking forward to playing with it. This is my first taste of it.
I agree. This will fit in nice with a lot of cocktails that will be on another episode. Our SIPS rating here for Bulrush Gin is going to be a 3.
Interesting.
Well, up next is the curveball that I threw in the flight. I put a gin that was in our Big Gin Taste-Off and hit our top 3 back into our flight that we went through today. Just wanted to see, it's been 3 years, since we did the Big Gin Taste-Off. I wondered, has our palate changed?
Has it been that long?
Maybe 2 years. Yeah.
I think I still have PTSD from that.
So our number 3 gin is Kenobi from Kyoto Distillery. And this was a fabulous gin and hit our top 5. And we've rated it very well today as well. And the fact that, some of the same palates are here and some of the, Craig's palate was kind of new to this. Is this a gin you've had before? Kenobi?
It is not, and I've actually never had a rice-based gin.
Yeah, and that was what was really fascinating is that there is a soft, quality, about this that you would typically find in a lot of rice-based, distilled products. But the herbal blend off this was just fantastic, and I loved it.
Well, the funny thing is the first thing I have is not grain.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, but it's the first thing I was not grain, super mild on the nose, restrained juniper.
Yep.
But I noticed that it was rounder than most of them, which made me deduce that it was not grain.
Yeah, it was the first thing on our tasting lineup, and I usually start at the beginning and work my way down. So this was the first thing that kind of balanced, and I really enjoyed it. And I always try to come back later and revisit the first couple again just to see if I'm in the same place by the end of the flight. I had on my notes that it was a little bit sweet at the beginning. I didn't get the rice thing, but I did say that there was almost like a Maltese quality to it, something like that. And then obviously the floral notes at the end. But it was a great place to start. But you always got to keep messing with this, Mike.
No, and when you go back and now after
Yum.
Whatever 3 hours of nothing in my mouth, it's much more evident that it's rice. It's like sake.
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually, and maybe that's subliminal, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, that's not a bad way of describing it. I can definitely see some sakes that would fit, a bit of the taste profile for this.
I would love to do a cocktail with sake and this.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's kind of sweet in the middle, which I actually like, and it's very. I think the juniper is actually the star of the show, for this.
Yeah, that was definitely my first. Well, it was the first thing I tasted, so I always go back as well. Tasting gin is really different than like tasting through the similar number of whiskeys because there's so much.
It's intense
variation in what you're tasting, and that you're not tasting apples to apples.
Yeah.
So it's a very different tasting,
different botanicals, different way in which it's been augmented or adulterated or however you want to call it, whatever flavoring.
Gin is a female, whiskey is a male.
Well, I'm so glad that we came back around for this. Our SIPS rating for Kenobi is also a 4.
That's classified.
So we're moving right along here to our next gin, which is actually it's number 3. That's the name of it. This is from Hoatling. And let me get the background on that in front of me.
Numbers are super hard today.
As fast as I can.
Number 3 is number 2, but it was number 7.
Gin.
Yeah. All right, number 3. It took Barry Brothers and Rudd, London's oldest wine and spirit merchant, established in 1698, and a team of spirit specialists, 730 days to painstakingly refine and create the world's best gin. All right, so first off,
732 days, they could have been number 1.
Yeah.
They just tried a little bit harder.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, what? Slacker.
Also,
what'll be funny is that, when they hear what was number 1 in our flight, is, they'll send a note off to these guys and go, dude, we did this in 4.5 days. It's like,
but also like 730 days. Why didn't they just say 2 years? Like, no, each one of those days was so important.
Or, like how many milk bars were involved, in the painstaking, process of refining, and creating this gin. I mean, what would you do in 730 days creating a gin? I have no idea.
Yeah.
The BBC has such horrible programming. There's no way that you could just sit around and watch TV for 730 days.
Right, but it's a Dutch collaboration, right? So for those 731 days, you're pretty racist. You might smoke some weed. Yeah, you throw that in with the English,
That's the thing that I really want to know is I want to know what you did during those 730 days.
Talk about how much money you're going to make off Americans by selling your gin.
It's like every time somebody's checking on with you during the research, process, they go, yeah, we're going to get on that, man. Yep, we're right on that. Hang on a second.
Yeah. It is Europe after all. There's no pressing deadlines in the Netherlands. Yes.
They did have to weigh 6 different botanicals precisely.
Yes. I mean,
precisely.
Well, I mean,
do you think they used the same scales?
That probably took like 187 days all by itself, How much?
Yeah, I mean, it's the metric system.
Is it,
guys.
Yeah.
This is all, yeah.
Is that 42 grams or 42.5 grams? I mean, seriously, I have no idea what you would do for 730 days. I've never done anything for 730 days. So,
well, it's getting pretty close to being at home.
I was going to say the time of COVID is truly,
feels like 732 days.
Let's just try now.
Yeah,
because we can cram it into a month.
Right.
So we should have started to make gin.
So we have bathtubs.
Wasted time.
Oh, man. So they weighed these 6 botanicals out that I'm going to tell you about here in just a second. Then they added it to the still and steeped it for 16 hours.
That's half a day.
Ultra pure grain spirit. The next day, the distillation begins. It's a 7-hour cook. The master distiller.
Third of a day.
The master distiller collects the heart of the distillate, and then we triple check the drin, not twice.
That's where those 700 days come in.
That's what's going on. It's 730 days. What number are you on checking? I'm on number 2. This is day number 5. Okay, so to ensure that nothing short of spectacular. I'm pretty sure that that's what they said after they left out of the right milk bar. Spectacular milk. Then they bring their gin down to a precise 46% ABV, the perfect ABV for our unique taste, and it's ready to be bottled. So here's a list of the botanicals in this and the origin of where they're from. Grapefruit peel from Uruguay, orange peel from Spain, coriander from Bulgaria, cardamom from Guatemala, juniper berries from Italy, Angelica root from Poland. So I think it's, and there are, I noticed several of these where they were sourcing, different things from, and I thought it was very interesting, such a wide variety. If I had to take a guess, where were they blowing the 730 days? It's that they went through like 40 countries for
On
grapefruit
sites,
peel.
yeah.
And they were like, no, I think the grapefruit peel works good from Mexico.
Yeah, we're getting closer, guys. We just need to go on a couple more field survey
right,
trips,
yeah.
and I think we're going to figure it out.
Tony from Bulrush sent me like where their all of their botanicals
origins
were.
of-
So they were Bulgaria, Indonesia, China, South Carolina, India.
What did they source
I
from
guess
South
we're-
Carolina?
Well,
Marsh grass.
Racism. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
My God.
Marsh grass with a
Thank
touch
you.
of
I
racism.
appreciate that.
And once again,
There we go. Now we're banned from there.
I'm sorry.
It's so
We're
quick.
South
It's so
Carolina.
bad.
Dudes who seem gay but aren't. That's the other thing
My
that comes
gosh,
from South
even worse.
eccentric is what we call them.
But that linen suit, though, seriously, it helps everything.
I don't know about you guys,
It
but
ties the room together.
Multinational gin botanicals are where it's at in this lineup, obviously.
I mean, for this gin number 3, not the number, but the actual brand of gin number 3, I smelled I thought I smelled the Jennifer smell.
Oh, interesting.
I guessed that's the only one I guessed right. The one I said, oh, it smells like Jennifer. It smells like unsweetened.
Yeah,
Jennifer.
the multi.
Yeah.
I smelled the Guatemalan children that
Yes,
picked the
right.
cardamom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but the suffering is nature's tenderizer, so I really feel that just kind of makes it.
And Guatemalan children are delicious.
I did have a tasting note of this one being soft, so it could be the little soft hand of the little baby.
Well, it's the tears as they wash each little
Or
berry. It's just
a little bit.
Gin tears. Wow, we are awful people.
Yeah,
Moving
we've
along.
really moved away from the milk bar fast. My own tasting notes here, I wrote a lot of pepper up front. It's very well balanced. Very dry finish, I thought, off of this one. Now, I will tell you that I've had a lot more time, to play with these gins, both neat and in a lot of cocktails. I have gone back to that number 3 an awful lot. And it has worked very well in a
We see that.
wide range of things. Is it the lowrider?
It is.
Is it the lowrider?
It is.
it's extensive testing. That's what we call it in the business.
To me, this is Beefeater. If Bowls made Beefeater,
Oh, that's an interesting
That's
call.
a good way of describing it. I like that a lot, Craig.
and so I could use this for anything. I could literally use it for anything. It could be good in a martini. It could be good in a shake and drink.
I have not seen this product as widely available as some of the other ones that we've gone through, and I'm hoping that Hoatling will take this to heart and expand distribution and get this, in a much broader range, because it is fabulous. I really love this.
Number 3, number 2.
Correct. That is right.
Oh boy.
If you had to pick a cocktail choice to go with this, anything come to mind?
I wouldn't do a lot with it. I would be happy with a little tonic.
Well,
just call it a day.
What you were talking about is the way it kind of keys into more of a Jennifer kind of piece. I would think about some things that would normally make with Jennifer, or maybe like Old Tom or something like that, and kind of see where it would go from there.
I wouldn't use anything heavy with this because I think the gin. This is a gin I'd use when I want 1.5 ounces or more gin in my drink.
When you want the gin to
sing a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think with the martinis or stuff, I think you'd lose it. I think you need to back off. I'm trying to think of,
I think the vermouth would absolutely.
An aviation,
obliterate it.
perhaps?
Yeah. There you go. I can see that working.
But I think it's pretty versatile because it's got that bite that I like.
I just wouldn't want the lavender to the creme de violet to really kind of compete with the sweetness in this. That would be the only thing.
I use such a small amount of violet in
There
my,
you go.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Yeah.
Whatever your recipe says, cut it in half.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Just want to
So-
see the color.
Love this gin, everybody. And so our rating here for number 2 from Hoatling is going to be a SIPS rating of 4.
classified.
Fabulous gin. Very distinctive bottle. You'll see it on the shelf. So definitely seek that one out.
it has
for
a
sure.
key on it, but no castle.
Oh man!
Oh, there's a
hope we have
tip
some
off,
time,
you
but-
know.
I hope we have some time.
Well, let's see. We're going to get to our top pick here before our second break. So our number one in our flight here is actually going to be from Freeland.
Yay!
Yeah, how about that? I mean, that is says an awful lot. I have some background here about Freeland as well, while everybody's grabbing their glass. You know,
I think it's fair to say that Freeland kind of is one of the reasons we decided to do our next gin show.
But we have to be pretty specific here. This is the Freeland Dry.
Yes.
Let's see. Yes, that is
Which
true.
is very different than the other Freeland.
Yes.
The other Freeland is not good. This Freeland Dry is very good.
Yep. So I have some quick background here, and then we'll get to our break. Freeland Spirits Dry Gin is London dry styled, distilled in Portland, Oregon. For all of you rebels defying the odds and breaking through the glass ceilings, we created Navy Strength Gin because strong gals deserve strong gin.
Hell yeah.
I like that. That works for me for sure.
Put hair on your chest.
The aromatics are concentrated and bold, tickling the senses with hints of spice, citrus peel, and ever-present juniper berry. Our women-owned and operated distillery offers the best of the Pacific Northwest in every sip. This is actually stacked out at 114 proof. Wow. That is definitely probably the most kicked-up gin we've had.
I didn't have to brush my teeth today because of this. It just washed it all away.
No more COVID in our mouth
That's
either.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll be right back talking a little bit more about Freeland. Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. On today's episode, we are going over a flight of gins that we have made out of 13 different choices, and we're going through our top 5, and we were just discussing our number 1 gin out of this flight, which was from Freeland. It was the dry gin. I was giving a little bit of background on this, very standard, approach towards a Navy Strength London Dry Gin, which, there's been a lot of people that have aimed for that. In fact, we're going to talk about one that hit the bottom that was aiming for that right after this discussion. So let's talk about this a bit more. So first off, we're huge fans of Molly.
Yes.
And
can't say we aren't.
We really have to be transparent that, we just have a huge crush with her skill and her ability of creating great products. And Cary Ann reminded me, and, part of what led us to actually do this episode was this was a gin that was created after the Big Gin Taste-Off. And I really thought there was a great story, and I really wanted to hopefully share this gin with the world and put them on the map because it's really good. And not only do they have 2 different versions of it, and we didn't talk about the second version of their gin, just the dry, but they have another version that's a bit more botanical forward. They actually have a ready-to-drink version as well that is really amazing. And I hope that as their distribution expands, that you'll have an opportunity to get this. You're talking a little bit about their neighbors across the street.
So Aria Gin is another gin that did they make our last gin tasting?
Yes.
They weren't distributed. So
Aria was in that.
We were looking at who's distributed enough so that everybody could kind of find the gins that we really loved. So Aria is a gin that most of us at this table do really love. And these guys are neighbors. And one of them produced for the other their gin in the time that they were building the distillery. I'm pretty sure it was Aria that was helping out Freeland. I might have that backwards, but I think so. So those guys are friends, and they're making very different gins, but both very good. So Portland could be the actual seat of awesome gin in America.
Yeah, except they're lazy, so it'll never happen. It's the laziest city in America.
I can tell you, those ladies
the dream of the 90s,
at Freeland
Are you inhaling with your right hand or your left hand when you're saying that? So,
not lazy over there. They are working their butts
the city.
off.
I don't know Molly at all, and Ryan's not lazy either. So,
shout out.
I think what I really love about our process today was Cary Ann and I knew this gin already. We were already in love with it, but we hit it in this blind tasting. And I love the fact that even through doing it in a blind, that this wound up being on top. And it says an awful lot with some really great palates.
I'll tell you what I wrote down. And this is a huge compliment for someone I don't know who they are. It's Hayman's Royal Dock with a little bit of floral quality.
Okay.
Wow.
And to me,
that's high praise.
Hayman's Royal Dock is easily in my top 10 favorite.
I agree.
Gins. Now, what I actually say I really like about this dry is that I knew right away it was It was Navy strength. It was obvious. I want that in so many different types of drinks.
Yes.
I mean, you know, there are about, well, there's some in art that we tried today, but there are dozens and dozens and dozens of gin companies now who just underperform because of the lack of alcohol.
I agree.
Gin's made for cocktails.
Yeah.
It's got to
Right,
stand up.
right,
and when
right.
they just fall apart,
Yep.
it's kind of like, what are you even doing?
Well, and I think a lot of times new upstart, I was talking about this in the break, was that a lot of times new upstart distilleries, you know, the easiest thing in the world is to buy some distillate or, you know, make vodka or gin. And then they throw a bath bomb in it and then just kind of see what happens from there. And there's no balance. There's nothing that.
I think we're going to talk about a gin that has a similar process.
Oh
here.
boy! But this is, to me, my notes were just, you know, just so perfumey, floral, but at the same time very dry and just such a clean finish. And you're right, with that Navy strength proof, this could really stand up to a lot of things you could throw at it and still sing.
Look, it's not nearly as floral as something like an Uncle Val's, which is garbage. And the reason it's garbage is because it's underproofed.
Wait just a
Right.
second.
There was a touch of sarcasm as he said,
if I want to drink my grandmother's purse, I will order Uncle Val's.
Wow, that's interesting.
And
Well,
that sounded way weirder than I meant it.
No,
I
but-
meant a legitimate purse.
I think Uncle Val had some fun weekend activities that we didn't know about, but yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
Some of my own tasting notes here for Freeland Dry. It started out kind of sweet. There's a floral thing that kind of creeps in early in the taste profile. Juniper and rosemary is what I wrote down. Were kind of in the middle and the kind of the forward herbal component around this. Sweet finish, but squeaky clean. I love this.
Super clean.
Yeah, I love going back to it even now here in the glass. It's really amazing.
Good job, whoever made it. Molly is their name?
Molly.
Good job.
Yep.
And I'm a terrible, terrible pain in the butt, so.
Yeah, really great organization. And so they actually make a whiskey as well as that ready-to-drink product. And I hope that we'll have an opportunity of featuring both the ready-to-drink and the whiskey on a future episode as well.
What? I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?
Ready to drink is like a
Canned
pre-formulated canned cocktail.
It's a
That's why I don't know what that is.
No, there's
Yes.
there's some really great.
rosé gin. What was it? What was the ready-to-drink?
Rosé and
Gin and tonic,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's a foolproof gin in a can?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure
Yep.
is. Like no corners cut.
Gotcha.
There's some really great quality products on the market. I mean, it used to be, you know, terrifying malt beverages and
Well,
you
most
know,
of them.
corn syrup, right?
Yeah.
I just got another package from Portland of an RTD a couple days ago.
Oh,
so
wow.
RTDs are coming.
They are a
I
big
think
thing
they're,
now.
They are.
It's a
and
huge growth piece.
We have some future episodes planned covering RTDs, and I think that, you know, hopefully some of the ones we've mentioned here will make that discussion. But in the meantime, you know, these are really great, you know, products you can
I
work
just
with.
hope that if we ever see them in a bar, we walk out.
I just hope that people start drinking them and put the seltzers away.
I actually
Have a real cocktail in a can.
That's fine. If I see it at a bar, I'm walking out, and I expect
fair.
all of you to do the same
I
thing.
actually know some bars that is their big plan, is that they are going this route.
Well, and
then it's not a bar.
No, and it's and
Wow.
I'll tell you what I've heard from the industry is
It's a-
that it's people who don't invest the training in their people.
Yeah.
They don't trust them to
It's all about
manage
turning-
them properly.
Yeah, it's-
so they're
Well, then I
they're-
wouldn't go in there anyway. So
It's
It's all about how
I
many
hear you.
drinks
It's
they can
probably
turn,
not
you know?
places
Exactly.
you'd find yourself. I think
Right.
that places that are doing high volume tourism
Right.
business
College,
all over the
college
country,
places.
college
That's fine.
places,
Yeah.
That's
they'll
fine.
be like, here,
And I
have
think,
this.
you know,
Go
tourist
away.
districts, you know, where you want a beverage to go and you want it in a safe container as
on the
well.
beach or something like
Right,
that,
yeah.
right?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but you know, you're not going to walk in the Patterson house and get.
I think this would be a great time for Craig to tell us about what he does.
Well, let's rate this
No.
real
Oh,
quick.
after
and
that,
we'll,
after
spend a little
that.
time. So our our SIPS rating here for the Freeland Dry is going to be a 4.
100.
That's classified.
Well, I do. Let's talk about Peninsula a bit. I am such a huge fan of your gin and tonic menu. It is
you.
the one reason. So, of all the places I can go to for my birthday, a lot of fabulous places. I went to your place for my birthday.
Yes,
so-
you did. That's where we met.
Yep. And what a fabulous evening. I I loved every single one of the dishes that was put in front of me. I could have just sat there with a cocktail menu for a good 2 hours. It was that good.
Are you saying you didn't?
It was a good hour and a half. I probably had 6 different cocktails.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, right. That was a while. Yeah, that seems like 10 years ago.
Remember when we had birthdays?
Oh, man, that was awesome.
So I own Peninsula Restaurant. It's Spanish Portuguese influenced, hence the gin and tonic menu. Literally everything on my cocktail menu and the gin and tonic menu and my wines are specifically to go with my chef's food. I've been in the business 35 years, started in restaurants when I was 14 years old. I just gave away my age.
Sorry.
You already know we're not good at math.
Right. If you drink the right gin, you actually age in reverse.
That's true.
It's preservative.
Right.
So I specifically, again, everything to me, gin and tonics changed for me when I first went to Spain or when I first went to Europe. I think it was an afterthought in this country until, it's still an afterthought in most places. Yeah. So I started making my own tonic a decade ago. Finally, I'm bottling it. So I never understood as a younger bartender why anyone would drink tonic, because to me it was like a sugar bomb. And then I started doing some research on Quina products pre-Coqui Americana. How do you get these bitter, cinchona flavors without actually using cinchona? Yeah. So I made my own tonic syrup years ago, really because a friend of mine and I did a 7 nights in a row, and we did every drink in the Savoy cocktail book at different bars.
Oh, cool.
Which was incredibly ambitious because the measurements, they'll say like 3 hookers of gin. And you're like, they're mouthfuls of gin? I don't know what that means. Like, there's so many different measurements. And then there's the Quina kept coming up. And this was a long time ago. This is early 2000s, late 90s.
Oh, man.
Where there wasn't anything. So I made my own Quina syrup, which then eventually became my own tonic. So I actually used the Quina syrup in cocktails for a long time. And then I really started doing research on how much sugar was in tonic. And I was like, wow, even Fever Tree has
a lot,
as much sugar as in a can of Coke.
And that was something that we noticed. We actually went through a series of gins, all using Fever Tree. And I definitely was paying attention to the variation, of how much sugar was in various tonic, and I was like, wow, there's like a huge disparity.
And I really don't understand it because, well, I mean,
it's
maybe it's just my palate. Well, yes. No, I understand that. But, Schweppes is not American. I mean, we know the English, they have worse palates than anyone. But
if I think that there's anybody that adulterated that concept of what tonic actually tastes like, I would blame Schweppes. Because they wanted to use it as a bricks.
Right, yeah. Right. And also, to be fair, if you start playing around with cinchona bark and you start making it's really bitter. So you have to, and it's also toxic.
Yes.
So
there's that.
I paid attention to that during that seminar, Tales of the Cocktail. What can kill you?
Right.
That cinchona bark can. So
I mean, it would be an awful lot, but still, yeah. But no, I'm still astounded by tonics now, even the more successful ones that are just so syrupy and sugary.
Did you know that there was I guess with the hydroxychloroquine thing, there was, I'm not even kidding, there was literally...
Can we put that in gin?
There was a rush on tonic water because people thought that quinine was so there was a short period of time during the pandemic where people went on a huge rush on tonic water. I know it's super sad, but
what's amazing to me is that someone was smart enough to put that together.
It was probably some terrifying conspiracy.
I twisted the memo up because when I heard the thing that would cure COVID, I just ran towards gin.
Yeah. So, well, they also said malaria. So exactly. Yeah.
Bam, bam.
Yeah, so that was, I thought that I could clean myself from the inside out.
Yes. We're drunk, we're full of bleach, and we won't get COVID.
Well, speaking of some really bad ideas, let's talk about the thing that was at the bottom of our flight and some interesting stories, about this. So the thing that was in the bottom of our flight was actually the London Dry Gin from Castle and Key. And I have a quick description of this, which explains a little bit about what's going on. Our restoration gin begins with our rye whiskey base that is distilled into vodka. And the vodka distillate is then infused with juniper and a thoughtful selection of 7 herbs and botanicals. The result is not good. It's distinct, complex, and heavily aromatic flavor profile. Their mash bill is 17% yellow corn, 63% rye, 20% malted barley,
and 5% hatred.
And I actually think that's, where things really kind of go off the rail. And so this is an interesting story because we were right. Cary Ann and I were right there with Mary Ann, and she was actually finishing off, the very first gin batch. It was actually made in a pot still, and they actually didn't even have the column still, even operational. And it was interesting that she was going after one. We knew that she was going to go after a cleared, spirit, so that get some cash flowing, and gin was at the forefront, but. Man, she
has a really pretty garden.
Yes, it's a pretty garden.
If your mission statement disqualifies you as London Dry Gin before you even get to tell us that it's a London Dry Gin, then you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're doing. And that is so evident with this gin. It's someone who does not know what they're doing. And I'm sorry,
gin.
but before, what's her name?
Mary Ann Barnes.
When she came and visited me, I told her it ain't gin.
And I said the same thing.
It ain't gin.
Since some of the early batches, as she had made, and I just, pulled her aside and I said, "This is not London Dry Gin. It's not even good gin." And
bathtub.
And I'm like,
no, the closest thing on the market that is St. George Dry Rye. That's it.
Could you go pick up a pint of Beefeater and just kind of realign yourself towards
Beefeater,
something? But So I will say that the difference between what was tasted pre-release and batch 1, which I tasted, there was a marketable improvement. This was batch 12 that we had, and it still moved along.
Still not
It's
good.
terrible.
Better,
It's terrible.
but it is still not even.
My tasting note is poop.
Make it into sanitizer and stop
even the cute
trying to
emoji.
sell it to us. Stop trying to sell it to us.
I think the sanitizer thing would work really well because you get the nice herbal, it's pretty much like, a Young Living store
It's not
exploded
even high enough
into,
proof to be sanitized.
Well, there's a lot of great gin on the market, and hopefully you'll pick some of the ones that we talked about today or go back and revisit our Big Gin Taste-Off. Still some really great products that you should go back and visit as well. Maybe if you get that Castle and Key as a Christmas gift, pick it for your favorite uncle.
You can re-gift that.
Here you go, Aunt Harriet.
Put it with some Schweppes. You'll never know the difference.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that'll be good. Just don't take it to Craig's restaurant. He'll just kick that to the curb pretty quick. Well, we really hope you had a great time on this episode today discussing these gins. You can catch us online anytime. Do yourself a favor and tap the subscribe button.
Just tap it in. Just tap it in. Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo.
That's the easiest way to listen to our show, as well as asking Siri, Alexa, Google, or Uncle Larry, play podcast, Sips, Suds, and Smokes. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day. Our handle is @SipsSudsSmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. You'll be able to interact with the thousands of other fans on those social media platforms as well. Your gin sucks. It's like a cesspool of hate mail sometimes on our social media. But anyway, do us a favor and take the time to rate this episode. If you're listening to us online, that's a great big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. 5 stars, please. I want to thank our host for being here, good old Gal Cary Ann. Tell us a little bit about everything you got going with Straight Up 615, Bourbon Steward, and Whiskey Wash.
Wow. I had a lot going on before
the accident.
March killed us. And then, so Straight Up 615 is, according to VinePair, Instagram account you should be following. Hint, hint. And I'm also starting a monthly column with Whiskey Wash. After the first one, we'll see if he lets me keep going.
Are you going to give me some editorial, elements to it?
No one gets that.
Thanks for being here, good old Boy Sparky.
It's great to be here and actually seeing the sunlight again.
Oh, well, whatever Jen made that happen, I'm glad. It wasn't a milk bar.
No. We shan't speak of the milk bar.
We'll work on your Welsh as well.
Jeez.
Good old boy Craig, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Come to Peninsula. We're back open.
Hey, it's the good old boy Mike. Come back, and I'll ask you to keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.